Have with us now the new superintendent of the Detroit Public Schools Community District, Nikolai Vitti. Welcome. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Must be a bit of an overwhelming experience for you. A lot of people asking. So let me ask you this. What is the most asked question that people are asking you as you're making your way through here?
Really not many questions, more about introductions, telling me what they're currently doing in Detroit, some high-level ideas on how they think they can partner with the district. And that's exciting because we need as much help as we can get with our children. So I've made some already good connections, built some background knowledge, and came up last night and heading out actually after this interview. Too much work to do in Detroit to stay here, but I'll be headed out tonight.
So much centers around the conversation of education in Detroit, talking about governance, talking about money, talking about logistics. I want to know what parents are asking you and what their largest concerns are, because you got to know that you've got thousands of parents and students who are sitting and saying, is this next step going to finally be the fix? Because they've been told that things are going to happen and that things are going to get better, and they've been waiting. What are parents asking you?
So I think what our focus is when we're talking about parents is, one, making sure that their children are safe in our schools. We can't even talk about education if children aren't safe. So we have to make sure that we continue to do that well and consistently. And then secondly, obviously improving the educational quality of what they're receiving as far as children are concerned. So our main focus is on the 46,000 students that are currently in our school system. There's certainly going to be talk about recruiting parents back to our school system, but we have to focus on the 46,000 that are there now and improve the educational experience for those children. I think when we do that, parents will hear that, they'll talk to other parents, and we'll be able to return parents that have left the system to come back. And then we're going to develop new programming, especially for 18-19, that is dynamic and unique for Detroit. And I think that's going to be an opportunity to bring parents back that aren't even thinking about Detroit Public Schools right now.
So when you're talking about those 46,000 children and their experience in the classroom, you're talking about buildings and the conditions of those, but you're also talking about teachers feeling supported, or even having enough teachers to get in those classrooms.
Well, that's right, and that's why one of the first short-term goals is to be fully staffed or near fully staffed by the fall. We can't really talk about offering an excellent educational experience if we don't have a full-time teacher in the classroom. So right now we have 100 pure vacancies, 160 extra vacancies if you include long-term subs. We have to rectify that situation by the fall and function with a sense of urgency around that. I think the first step in that direction is finalizing the current contract negotiations that we have with our teachers. It will provide a small bump for all teachers, but it's not the salary that I think our teachers deserve, but that will happen in the long term, but at least it's a demonstrative strategy to increase salaries for existing teachers and new teachers that are possibly going to come into our school system. And then, as you mentioned, we got to change culture. So the reality is our district has been functioning in a state of chaos, in a state of crisis for some time. And it's been an approach to survive, not really the ideal scenario when you're talking about culture of an organization. At the end of the day, people don't want to work in an organization that's constantly changing, evolving, new leaders, new governance structures. So that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to work with this new elected board and stay for the long term to create stability and to be once again a thinking, reflective, visionary organization, not one that's just trying to survive. And I think when we change the culture in that regard, we're going to see teachers stay, and we're going to be able to recruit a whole group of teachers that are new to the profession.
You have to feel that sense of urgency, though, from teachers and
Absolutely.
From parents saying, gosh, we've had failed experiments. And when you're talking about failed experiments on kids and losing the time, how do you balance the urgency of saying, gosh, we have to make some changes and make them pretty darn quickly with this is going to take a little bit of time?
Yeah, I think that's just knowing the body of work. And so I think one thing that the board saw in my candidacy is someone that has led a large urban school district, one that with 130,000 students. Prior to that, I was in Miami-Dade, the fourth largest school district in the country with over 300,000 students. So I think my work has always been about focusing on what matters most, which is what happens in the classroom. And everything in the organization needs to support that directly or indirectly. And you have to be able to identify short-term issues that are immediate, but also plan ahead. And so when we talk about short-term needs, we're talking about teacher vacancies. We're talking about the need to create a strategic plan to drive the budget. I think that there's an opportunity before June 30th to reevaluate our district structure and possibly eliminate and reduce some of our administrative costs. Put more funding in the schools. Also looking at teachers that are in special assignment rather than being in classroom. Those are some short-term things that we look at, but also looking long-term. And I think parents, the community, stakeholders want to see those short-term wins to build confidence into a long-term strategy, and that'll be the focus.
And we'll look forward to following the progress. Nikolai, Vitti,
well,
congratulations on the new job. Superintendent of Detroit Public Schools Community District, and we can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you.
All right.